Hey everybody, look what I got. Okay, do you guys do FabFitFun? I do. I love it. I have some referral codes. I think I have 3 for a free, what they call starter kit or starter box maybe. And you get, I think all you have to do is pay shipping and you get like a smaller size box. But anyways, side note, if you want those, let me know in the comments and I'll send. I got 3 I can give out. But in my box this month, I got a letter board. I have been wanting one forever, but I'm too cheap to buy one. And so I got one. So, oh man, I have to turn the thing. I don't know if I know. I think I'm too late to turn it. Live video options. I don't think, yeah, I can't turn it right now. Maybe. All right, well, I'm not gonna take up your time to do that. Anyways, if it wasn't backwards, it would say sunscreen, and it's awesome. So I love it. I wanted to show you because today, all week we've been talking about sunscreen. Today we're gonna do our deep dive into sunscreen because it's summer and it's sunscreen time. It's sunscreen time all year, but it's when we typically tend to pay attention to sunscreen. So, who is ready? Let's all raise our hands. Give me a high five. Give me a heart. Give me a something. If you are ready to hit the pool or the beach this weekend, guess where I'm going to be on Saturday? The pool. That's right. So that's why we're going to take a deep dive into sunscreens tonight. So, first up, what do you need to know to or what do you need to look for, I guess, when you are buying a sunscreen? So, first off, our vocab lesson that we talked about yesterday, broad spectrum. You need to make sure that you are getting a sunscreen that has both UVA and UVB skin protection, okay? We talked about this a little bit in our vocab lesson yesterday. If you haven't seen it, go back and look at it. But that means that it's the sunblock, the sunscreen will protect you from both the rays that can burn your skin and cause cancer, as well as the rays that damage your skin and cause signs of aging. So you get both in one. Broad spectrum, okay? The second thing that you need to look for in your sunscreen is SPF, okay? A specific number that works for you. But before we even get into the number, let's talk about what SPF, those letters, stand for. It stands for Sun Protection Factor. And so what does that really mean? That means this tells you this number. That's what the number is. So sun protection factor of 15, sun protection factor of 30, sun protection factor of 50, okay? So that tells you how much longer your skin will take to turn red or to burn from the UVB rays compared to if you were only using, or if you weren't using sunscreen, okay? So if you are using SPF 30, which is what most people say is the minimum you should be using, then your skin with the sunscreen on will take 30 times longer to get to the redness than it does for someone who isn't using sunscreen. Now, what that time is differs because I'm super pale, and so I get red a lot quicker than, say, somebody else who isn't. So if I'm using SPF 30, that window is shorter, which is why I tend to go 50 or 100, because then it gives me the time, if I need to remember to put it back on. Now, there are different types of sunscreen. Oh, sorry. The third thing that I wanted to talk about is that you need to look for in your sunscreen beyond UVA, UVB, broad spectrum, beyond the number of the SPF, is the proportion of the UVA to UVB protection, the proportion of UVA protection compared to the SPF. So, Some of your sunscreens might have like a symbol or a stamp or something on them that will say this. So if you find those, that's what these are going to be referring to. So some sunscreens will tell you, if you're looking for one that does tell you, you're going to look for one that says that the sunscreen with UVA protection that is at least 1/3 of the SPF value. So if you have an SPF 30, you want to look for sun UVA protection of at least 10. Got it? Okay, there we go. So there is more to sunscreen than just UVA, UVB, and what we need to look for in it. There are different types of sunscreen out there. The first that we're going to talk about, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first of the 4 that we're going to talk about is once per day sunscreen. So these are sunscreens that claim that you can put them on once per day and be done. Okay? Those are a little iffy. Okay? If you do use one of these, realize that they probably are not going to last all day, and that you probably should reapply. Most experts say they warn you against trusting that and to actually reapply. But you know your skin, you pay attention to it. I would love to know if somebody finds a once per day sunscreen out there that works. That'd be great. The second is water resistant, and these are great. It's going to keep you protected even when you're in the water or when you're sweating. So most water resistants are going to have a time. Pay attention to the time. Most are typically 60 to 80 minutes. Some might go up to 100 minutes. But pay attention to that time, because that's what's really important, because it is the amount of time that you can be in water or sweating heavily and your sunscreen still work. Once it hits that time period, you need to reapply. Say that you went into the water for, it's an 80-minute, okay, let's take an 80-minute one. It's 80-minute water resistant, and you went into the water for 20 minutes, and then you came out and you toweled down and you sat down. You don't got 60 more minutes, okay? If you go into the water and you come back out and you towel down, that toweling down takes it off, takes your sunscreen off. So you need to reapply any time that you come out of the water, preferably after you've toweled down. The third type of sunscreen is sunscreen with insect repellent. This sounds like magic to me. Sitting outside and not have to worry about sun and not having to worry about bug bites sounds like heaven. And there are some really good sunscreen with insect repellents out there. The thing that you need to make sure that you're looking out for is DEET. If there is DEET in your sunscreen, then it can reduce the effectiveness of your SPF. So if you are using a sunscreen with DEET, you're going to need to reapply more often than it tells you probably on the bottle. And most experts recommend, while this is great, not actually getting a combo, actually getting the two products separately. But you know, life is hard and sometimes we need to take shortcuts. But if we do, we might need to reapply more often, okay? Then the last one that we're going to talk about is a facial sunscreen. And that's mostly what I sell. We do have one body sunscreen that's SPF 30, but most of the sunscreen that I talk about and the products that I sell are facial sunscreens. So more often than not, they are found in moisturizers that contain SPF. The thing with these is you need to make sure you apply that stuff liberally all over your face. Because if you're like me, you have sensitive skin, you need to get that on there so that your skin doesn't flare up from the heat and the sun. And you need to reapply every 2 hours if you're out in the sun. So that's some different types. There are a bunch more types, but those are some of the most common types of sunscreens that you'll find out there. So now that you've found your sunscreen with the ingredients that you want, and it's the type of sunscreen that you want, how much and how often should you use it? So a good rule to follow when applying sunscreen about how much you should apply is about 1 teaspoon per body part that's exposed. So if you're wearing a swimsuit, then, you know, 1 teaspoon for your arms and your legs and your, you know, the top half of your body. And you just want to make sure you get it really covered up. Always apply your sunscreen 30 minutes before you head out into the sun, and reapply every 2 hours at least. If you're not doing, you might be needing to do it more often than that, depending on your SPF factor and your skin type. But if nothing else, at least every 2 hours, or immediately after coming out of swimming or sweating. So you're getting ready to hit the beach. You're getting ready to hit the pool. You know you need to go get your sunscreen. And so you're going all the way into the back of your cabinet, and there is a sunscreen bottle that has been sitting there for, I don't know, when did you buy it? Who knows? If you cannot answer the question, sorry, I got this weird light. If you cannot answer the question, when did you buy it? And if the answer to that question is not within the past 12 to 18 months, throw it out. Sunscreen does go bad. And I can say this from really red experience. I have had sunscreen that I have put on and still turned out to be a lobster, even reapplying every 2 hours or less because it had expired. So it can be less than 12 to 18 months if you store your sunscreen in a really hot place where it gets a lot of direct sunlight. So I would just recommend every year just buying a new one. Don't try to make it last. It doesn't cost that much money for you to do that. So pro tip though, that I learned after my fiasco, date your bottle. When you get your bottle, when you get home, just write the date on it. So that way you at least know, and that takes all of the guesswork out. So that's it for me tonight, guys. That's my deep dive into sunscreen. If you have any other questions about sunscreen, drop them below. If you want some good recommendations on facial sunscreens to use for your skin type, I can totally send you some great recommendations for that. If you're looking for a great sunscreen that's good for the whole body for going to the pool or the beach, the sunscreen that I sell is incredible. It has it's lightweight and has this really great citrus scent. I've used it. I typically don't use ours because I like SPF 50 and ours is only 30, but I was traveling this weekend and couldn't take my sunscreen with me. And so I met someone who was a friend of mine at a pool this week, and she had the sunscreen SPF 30, and I tried it and I loved it. So I'm going to recommend it now. I recommend the SPF 30 sunscreen that we have. So anyways, if you're interested in any of those, drop me a sun in the comments. Also want to let you know that my semi-annual sale is going on right now. Starts tomorrow morning and will run through Monday. And I've partnered with my teammate Mary Kate, and we only do these twice a year. So now, and then we won't do it again until September. Super discounts, gift with purchases, all kinds of fun stuff, some of our most favorite products. So if you would like to get into that semi-annual sale, just raise your hand in the comments. Give me a let me into the sale, and I will invite you to that sale because it's invite only. All right, everybody, have a great it's Thursday. So have a great Friday tomorrow, and I will see you next week. I think next week we're going to be talking about face washes. So stay tuned.